Hello, everybody. It is me, Pacific. Wow, it's Friday. We finally made it there. Hope you're all having an awesome week. I want to thank my fans, for those of you that took the time to care, that I'm going to say it, that when I need an army, the Lord can raise one up. I don't have an army, but God can make one. You guys filed a complaint. The video was not removed by Mr. Frank, aka everything else. It was pulled by YouTube for harassment, bullying, and threatening content. Thank you, YouTube, for finally hearing us. Enough is enough. That's all I'm going to say about that. For those of you that say I gave this guy too much attention, I had to. When you bring my son and my ex-wife into it, when you bring my friend into it, when you attack his wife, who is a very kind woman, yeah, I'm going to mention it. Because the problem is trolls don't go away if you ignore them. They keep it up and keep it up. I'm here to run a channel. I'm not here to engage with stuff like this. But if somebody's going to attack, I've got to make a stand. And I have no regrets for that. He has crossed so many legal lines, it's not even funny. And out of all the people I spoke with yesterday, he's being watched. And he better just stop it and go away. That's it. No threats. He just better stop it and go away. And he better pull that Encyclopedia Dramatica page, because that is evidence against him right now. So, some people don't get it until the cops come knocking and banging at their door. Time will tell. End of story on that. Yesterday, a funny moment had happened. I had my wig on. I asked a coworker in front of mine, I said, I got some errands to run. You want to come with? So went, got into my 66 Ford, went and picked up my son. He needed a mattress set. And we all went bumbling along in my truck. And it was so funny. We're driving. This lady pulls up next to us. Here's me with my black wig. Here's my lady friend with black hair. And then here's my son with his hair dyed black. And we're all sitting there. And she looks over at us and smiles as we're driving around this old truck. It's great. I love that truck. Took it yesterday to begin to work on it, to get things done to it. And, oh yeah, she needs some attention, but what a beast. But I love it. It felt so good to drive something 50 years old. The thing runs like a top. I was happy. My son takes pride in his room. He made his new bed. Put up some lights in his room and made it all nice. And I said, wow, son, that's cool. People ask me, do you really think the government is out to get us? And I say, I don't know. When you look at the stuff that goes on in Washington politics, you got to wonder. You've got to wonder. Instead of rehashing and kicking a dead horse over and over again, it is time for Pacific to come out and say that there is clearly an agenda going on that most of the world doesn't even seem to know about nor care. One of the greatest conspiracies of all time is the one that's initiated by Satan. And bear with me. You're going to think, wow, where's he going with this? Let's get everybody hooked to technology. I mean, yeah, I go through the university district every day, and I watch these college girls. There's a crosswalk for them on a major street. People are going 35, 40 through there. College students, mind you. You know, girls, I'm going to college. Guys, I'm going to college. Getting deeply into debt. And they just step out in front of traffic, 10, 15 at a time. And traffic slows down for them. If I were to step out there, they'd be laying on the horn aiming for me. Fact. And I thought, yep, you guys are going to college to learn how to do that. Okay. But I look at all the pretty girls when I'm eating at the lights going all through that neighborhood. Long, beautiful hair, beautiful faces. And I think, well, if that is not an example of complete brainwash, social retardation, and I sit there and think, people are not grouping together and caring about each other anymore. They're glued to their technology. There's an agenda of divide and conquer that is going on right now. Get people sucked into materialism, get people sucked into things, get people to care about petty causes. You know, Colorado here, you can get a license plate that says adopt a shelter pet. People will spend and fritter their money away on things that are so utterly temporal, pat themselves on the back and think they're doing a good job for Mother Earth. Well, I reuse my canvas tote bag at the Whole Foods Co-op. Yeah. But you get in your $45,000 gas-guzzling pig and you drive like an arsehole. Do you notice there's a disconnect today of what people care about and what they should care about? And there's a big difference. Mr. Watson left a comment and said an example of one of Pacific's fans. A gentleman who made a video about my depression, meaning his. I garbage can the comment. I'm like, an example of one of my fans. Frank, I don't know if you looked yesterday, but did you bother to showcase my fans that rose up, including women, and decried a horrific, threat-laced video complete with first and last names of my family members, and that they stormed the gates, and that YouTube didn't wait around for 4 days? It was, boom, gone. Did you showcase them? Yes, some people have depression, and some of them are my fans. Does that mean I'm a retard? Do you see me walking against a walk light, stepping out in front of traffic going, no, I care. And to engage in a society that doesn't care takes a pair. And to do what I do every day in a society that is increasingly becoming more difficult to work with. No, I'm not tuning out and checking out. Pacific's not sitting in the corner with an addiction to gaming or to substances. Pacific is engaging in the culture. I'm feeling more comfortable being me out there. One of my high school students yesterday said, hey, what's up with the wig? Who are you supposed to be? I said, nobody. I just got to have fun, man. You know what I mean? He said, yeah, that's right. And they smiled and say, hey, have a good day, man. I tell you what, when you be yourself and you're comfortable in your own skin, people kind of become comfortable around you. Too often we try to be very careful to follow peer politics. Peer, P-E-E-R. And I've done it all my life, and it's gotten me nowhere. I've got a channel that has been attacked and raged against and on and on and on. And none of those people bothered to realize that I still go on and on and on because I have a fan base that wants me to continue speaking my heart, my mind, my convictions, and talking about the God I believe in. And I will do so. But for the grace of God, go I. Am I a mess? Who isn't? I think everybody's a mess. If you don't see it, spend time with people. Do what my cousin told me years ago. You think that woman's hot? You think she's pretty? Talk to her. Take the time to talk to her, and in time you'll see, yeah, she's cute, but no way. Not saying all pretty women are a liability, but most are. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Oh, you got that right. You know, I deal with people all day long. God has forced me to come into contact with a couple of women at work that I can't stand, and guess what? I find my hatred evaporating. I find myself learning to say, every one of us is different, sometimes radically different. And I don't have to be copacetic with all those differences, but when people ride my bus as a bus aide, and I've had bus aides lately, I've had a whole bunch of 4-year-olds, little ECER kids. So I had to get a different bus because you have to have integrated seats and you have to seatbelt them all in. And I have to teach these little guys how to seatbelt them in so they can do it themselves. But I've had bus aides on, a couple women, and it's like, oh gosh, they sent her with me? Excuse me, but I've adopted a policy. Everybody that gets on my bus, I want them to feel good about riding my bus and working with me. I want them to get off my bus at the end of the route. So you know what? That was painless. Now, not all drivers think like that. One woman told me, I had a driver tell me, oh, you're on my bus? Why, there's a good way to start the day. Just make a rude comment to your paraprofessional right off the bat. I'm getting along with 2 women I wasn't before. Because I refuse to fight. I refuse to get sucked into the emotional draw. And one of them is very emotional. Don't take the bait. Oh, yes, I got a long way to go. I take the bait sometimes. Who doesn't? All of us can have an off day. Some of us more than others. Morning allergies are a pain in the butt. Welcome to Colorado. So, what I'm trying to say, viewers, is as much as I get annoyed at people, I also like working with people. But I pay attention to what's going on. I'm a student of people. I've learned a lot through YouTube just by watching people. I've learned a lot by watching out my windshield. I also learned a lot about people who care and people who don't. When I went to the mattress place, older gentleman that sold us the mattress, I just threw it in the back of my truck, and he says, is that going to be safe? I said, oh, we don't have far to go. I don't drive like a crazy man. He says, let me get a rope and tie that down just to secure it. I'm like, really? Thank you. I said, you know what, sir? I will recommend your business just on that alone. Thank you. What does he care? I bought it. I paid for it. If they fall off on the highway, that's not his concern. I don't have to get on the highway, but the point is that he cared enough to secure my load. They were in there, but he didn't want one of the mattresses slide off. And I said, wow. Now, how many people will you see take the time to do that? You think I don't notice that stuff? You don't know whose life you're touching, man. And a teenage gal's cutting herself, and I had to report that. And I see her the other day, and I said, "Hey, how are you doing?" And she smiles and says, "I'm doing good." We must communicate to them somehow that you have value. Stop terrorizing yourself. Life is hard. Some people struggle with depression, and it is wrong for people to make fun of that. Because if you do, God may just mock you back and say, well, guess what, buddy? I'm going to throw a little bipolar whirlwind into your life, and we'll see how much you think that's funny. Don't make fun of people with disabilities and or setbacks, because if you look hard enough, we all got them. I don't think I have any disabilities, but I'm a little strange sometimes. Spend time with anybody and watch their habits, and you'll start thinking, boy, this guy's got a college degree, this girl's got a college degree, and they're cuckoo. People that live in their own bondage. I knew a woman in Spokane that I rented from, complained about Spokane, complained about how cold people were. She had $100,000 in the bank. She had a $250,000 plus home. I said, you know, you could sell out and move anywhere in the world, and at your age, it would last you. She's bound up. There is an agenda. There's an agenda for this world to march lockstep to the same beat of the satanic drum and shake their fist and say, who is this God? If you don't believe me, read Psalm 2. That's the precursor to the End Times movie. That's the agenda. We can worry about the Illuminati. We can worry about the Bilderbergs. We can worry about all kinds of plausible and uncredible conspiracy theories and schemes. But more than anything, what we should focus on is that God also has an agenda. And God's agenda will win. It is winning. And though we see evil all around gnashing its teeth, it will not win in the end. It will not. It doesn't look favorable sometimes. Sometimes the church looks like a three-legged horse hobbling along, clop, 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 clop. And the church looks ridiculous in the eyes of the world, and we look ridiculous. And what we need to do is stop buying the lie. Look at the world around us, and you'll see the ridiculousness of them, and you won't even have to try. What is so important that almost every American woman is just addicted to this? What are they accomplishing through that? Not anything that I know of. At the end of the day, it still boils down to the following things. How did you treat your fellow man or woman? Let's talk about something that is a lost art, and it's been playing out right in front of my eyes. People need to learn to agree to disagree, but you got nut jobs, wing nuts, and wackos out there that hear a viewpoint, and they just fixate and attack and do dirty little things. And guess what? You can't move on? Yes, there's psychos out there. They're all over the internet. This is a great habitation for them because they don't have to show their face. They don't have to be accountable, but they're learning. You cross the line, you'll be accountable. Is Pacific a threat to anybody in the world? No. Is my message? Probably. Because in my message, aside from my own character flaws and personalities and dysfunctions and wrong choices and good choices and the good, the bad, and the ugly, there's the kernel of the truth of what God is doing, and that really raises people's hackles. When you talk about the majority of society that's doing something that is clearly wrong, i.e. driving like idiots, their normal reaction is, is this retard? It's group dynamics. Group dynamics is when a prevailing majority of people do something. It's called situational ethics. They start believing they're in the right. No, you're breaking law. You walking out in front of traffic, you have a don't walk sign. And then you get all mad when somebody honks at you. Dummy! It's simple. Follow the rules. Colleges don't even teach that anymore. And I'm going to throw another boot in against colleges. Colleges are a ripoff. People are not becoming better. They're becoming more narcissistic. It's all about how much money I earn and about my little toilet paper degree I can hang on the wall, and I'm deeply in debt for that. And the college doesn't even care about job placement. They're not held by the government accountable and responsible to say, hey, if you're going to educate this student for $350 million, then you, and I'm being facetious on the price, then you need to provide that person a job in that field. Do you know what that would do to the colleges? The government required that. Oh, they'd lose a lot of money and they'd change real quick. The government doesn't care about you. Obama says we want everybody to go to college. Yeah, Obama, and people go to college and they still don't have a job. Move over, people. Some of us are working. Some of us have got stuff to do. While you're sitting there chasing a paper degree that will yield absolutely nothing but a huge amount of debt, some of us are trying to live our life. I watch college students. They're no more brilliant than anybody else. They got a paper degree. They can't follow the rules. They can't drive. They can't be nice. They can't be respectful. You say hi to 10 out of 10 college girls, you'd be lucky to get a response from one of them. The world looks at us and laughs, but we need to start looking at them and going, no, no, no. The sobering reality is they look retarded. They look ridiculous. They're marching to the beat of a satanic drum, and they're all syncretizing and homogenizing, and every woman out there acts and thinks exactly the same with child-directed speech and clinical diagnosis of every man, and they're caught up. I was at Red Rocks the other day, and they got on display this new Jeep. It looks like somebody threw up. And all the women are getting their picture. Oh, this is so nice. And, yeah, worship it, man. Bow down to that. Yeah, that's great. 99% plastic, and you're going to pay big money for that. Let me tell you, when you walk against the flow, when you swim against the tide, you're going to stand out like a sore thumb, a.k.a. Pacific. When you stand up and confront the culture, whether it's through YouTube or just in your personal life, walking juxtaposed to what is around you, you can expect feedback. I always say to drivers on the road, if somebody's honking at you, it means you're probably screwing up out there. You might want to take a look at yourself. But if you're a Christian and you're just standing on the truth, and you're getting a lot of horns at you, you might want to realize that maybe they're in the wrong. We live in a backwards world, us as Christians. When the world is all against you, that's good. It means you're doing the right thing. I'm not talking about obnoxious Christians that are hateful and nasty and hypocritical in their behavior. The Pacific, people that know me know my heart, and they know that I care. Now, I'm not perfect, and that's not what I'm touting here. I'm not touting a self-righteous. I'm talking about us. As Isaiah says, I dwell among unclean people. I'm a man of unclean lips. He identifies himself with his fellow Israelites and says, yes, I'm sinful, we're sinful. And that's what I'm saying. There is an agenda. The devil's agenda is to turn as many people against God and make sure that they don't get right with him. that they don't have eternal life. And the devil doesn't care about you. The devil's going to laugh at you and go, you fool. The devil loves it when they're all caught up in all these little activisms and all this stuff. It's just a distraction. Got to save all the poor poochies of the world. Oh, gosh. Dogs poop, dogs pee, dogs bark. Honestly, with all due respect, dogs are kind of worthless. Now, they're a pet. But when we turn a pet into a deity and treat it like such, this is the world that's laughing at me for being a Christian, for being a believer in a literal 6-day creation, God resting on the seventh. They laugh at me, and I look at them as they're talking baby talk to their dog and spending way too much money on their dog, then failing to pay a human domestic helper more than is paid for the dogs, specifically in Hong Kong. I just look at that and go, and you're laughing because I'm a Christian? Just your very treatment of humanity around you over a dog is terrible. I don't know if you've noticed, but smart-mouthed kids got more rights today than well-behaved ones. Snot-nosed, princess, narcissistic, materialistic, self-serving, man-hating women got more rights than we do. Stop being backed into a corner and bullied into a corner by a gnashing, teeth-gnashing group of atheist, evolutionist, worldlings that are walking up going, ha, ha, ha. Stop it. They're the ones that the joke is on them. Not one of those fine-looking women will be texting and scrolling her Facebook in hell. They won't be doing Starbucks. They won't be talking about their SUV. They won't even have one anymore. They won't be singing the highway to hell. They won't be standing around with their vain 650 Facebook friends. They won't even be tweeting them. That's something to think about, viewers. There's an agenda, and there's a million people out there on YouTube that'll tell you what's coming next to a theater near you. The Bilderbergs, the Illuminati, the Trilateral Commission. I've heard it all. We are headed for one world government. We are headed for the mark of the beast. And we see evidence of that rearing its head now. New York's telling people to get passports. People putting chips in their pets when they get lost. They go, bleep, oh, this cat belongs to Sammy Sosa. You know what? It's real. But God wins. God is on the throne. God has decreed it. Therefore, it can and will happen. It doesn't matter what the pundits say. The world's standing around. The geologists are saying in the next 50 years there's going to be a significant, huge earthquake in the Pacific Northwest. Yep, throw enough darts at the wall, they'll stick. 50 years, that's a great prediction, dude, but that doesn't help me right now, does it? Stupid. Bunch of egotists out there trying to make a name for themselves. If something happens within 50 years, you can go, look at me, and have a little geological parade go down the streets of a rubble-reduced Seattle. Told ya. Let me tell you, bucko, why don't you predict it to the minute? And when the earth moves under your feet to the minute, then I'll stand up and say, no, there's a geologist that knows something we don't. You're not a prophet, buddy. I'll stick with the prophets. The geologists can go back to their sandbox and their little plastic bones and their little plastic shovels and continue playtime. But I'm going to deal with the prophets that said something that is undeniable. The book of Daniel's already been fulfilled, and there's a bunch that hasn't been fulfilled yet. I'd say that the accuracy of Daniel that talks about the Messiah coming, cut off, all that, and then Daniel talks about a whole bunch of last day stuff. I'd say since half of it was already right, I think the other half is yet to come. And I think I'm going to believe them over a geologist or the meteorologist on the evening news about the weather forecast that they 99% of the time just blow. We need to stop listening to the world, viewers. All those little butt-nats that get on my channel to point out the flaws in my viewers and all this stuff, they're hypocrites. They got just as many flaws, if not more. One of them is self-righteousness and pride. You want to mock somebody who has depression? Mr. Watson, there's the door. It says exit. There's the red X. Click on it. Leave my channel. Don't make fun of my viewers. And if I'm reading you wrong, please forgive me, but that doesn't look good in your favor. Did you not see a victory yesterday? A video was removed, and it wasn't removed by the person who put it there. It was removed by YouTube because enough is enough. This world, we need to look at them. Somebody in Queens has nothing better to do than to threaten people. Come on, man. These are the people that say there's no God, laugh at my God, but they spend all this time dogging somebody. You're really out changing the world. You're really out helping one student at a time to think better about themselves in the right way. You're not doing anything, bucko. Nothing. It is very sobering to realize there's a lot of wingnuts out there. And those wingnuts are laughing at us for believing in God, for believing in the literal Genesis. But yet, the track record of the Bible and Bible prophecy already is 100%. God himself said it very clearly in the Old Testament. If somebody comes in my name and saying thus and thus and thus happens, and it does not happen exactly as he says, he is to be stoned. He is not a prophet of the Lord. Only in America do we pay meteorologists to be wrong on an almost daily basis, and they still have job security. And you're going to listen to that same world. You're going to listen to Dawkins, who pulls rabbits out of his hat, not about geological issues. He doesn't know a thing about geology. In his book, The God Delusion is nothing but rhetoric, making fun of those of us that believe in true faith, because we have more physical scientific evidence in our favor than the evolutionists do, hands down. The internet's become a cesspool of stupid thinking. And that's why they're trolling me. That's why they're trolling some of you. And you know what? To run and put our tail between our legs, that's not what America was built on. Don't fire until you see the whites of their eyes. We don't need to cut and run. Run from what? The truth? They're the ones that will be crying out, as the scriptures say, to the rocks and the hills, fall on us and hide us from the face of him, the Lamb who sits on the throne. Oh, you worldlings, you're afraid of a little lamb. That's pretty bad. They are. People don't want God. They don't want his commands. They don't want his ways. Why do you think they're yelling and screaming at me and yelling and screaming at Christians and yelling and screaming about the Bible and calling it a myth? They are trying to convince themselves that it's all BS. And they're spinning their wheels in deep clay muck and going nowhere fast. If something is a myth, if something isn't true, why does a huge group of people in America and around the world spend so much time gnashing their teeth, yelling and railing about it instead of going on with peace, joy, love, and happiness? Because they don't have those things. Because only God can give you peace. Only God can forgive. Only God can give you eternal life. And the atheists don't have those things. Now, mind you, when I talk about this, I'm not slamming my viewers that are atheists that like my channel and all that. And people would say, yeah, you like those that are friendly to you. Yeah, I'm guilty of that. Who isn't? I want to thank Rob. I want to thank Michael. I want to thank many others that are not mentioned by name. Women and men, for standing up against yesterday's nonsense. Thank you. You care. Thank you to my fans who've gotten tired of the trolling. We're strong in numbers, binded together, than we are fighting this on an individual basis. Do we let the people take over YouTube and just start checking out? I almost did. It's very clear that YouTube and the internet is attracting a lot of mentally unstable people. And when I say mentally unstable, I'm talking cuckoo freaks out there, psychos, people that make the evening news as hiding teenage girls in their basement kind of people. Yeah. Jeffrey Dahmer types. But cut and run, there's a lot of us out here that are intelligent, a lot of us that are doers and shakers and living our lives responsible. We don't need to run. The Bible says, fear not. Fear is linked to a lot of things, but ultimately, if you're walking with Christ as you should be, not being perfect, you're not going to be, but realizing who you are and saying, God, I'm sorry, I've sinned, forgive me. God gives you the confidence, and we shouldn't be fearing the devil's emissaries. Look around you, and you will clearly see that they're the ones that are not very bright. They're laughing at us, and if you watch what they do on a daily basis, you go, man, that's retarded, dude. That's what happens when you say there's no God. They become very foolish in their day-to-day actions. Oh, I went to college. Look at me. I walk out in front of a semi-truck. Hey, boo-boo. Yeah, that's awesome. The devil doesn't care about these people. He wants to bring as many people against God as he can, and then when the devil's done with him, he'll laugh at them and go, you stupid idiots. God is not that way. God is saying, I love you. Even to the trolls that hate my guts, Jesus Christ spilled his blood for these people. For all these atheists who say there's no God, God has shed his blood for them, saying, come unto me. He wants a relationship with them. But they'd rather fight their little paper wars and their internet typing keyboard warrior wars and rail for the God of their own creation and say there is no God and the Bible's a myth and fairy tales, but I have no joy and peace, and when that Christian talks, my butt gets chapped and it really bothers me. I bet you keep coming back and listening over and over. If something isn't true, I don't go out picketing it. I just go. There are so many conspiracy theories out there. Banana. Just this alone proves the existence of God. Man can't even make a dang banana. God does. Does it every day. Anybody remember that cheesy song in the 80s? We are the world. We got to realize that's what we're up against. People who deny the existence of God do not become intelligent. They become foolish. They become foolish in their daily actions. They follow the euphoric crowd mentality. Oh, everybody's speeding. I'm going to speed. Therefore, it's right. It takes a pair of balls, men, to stand up and stop following the lemmings over the cliff. Women. It takes a spine to stop imitating and following the crowd of women that are in the cosmopolitan Elle, people, us magazine mentality. I'm not talking about a bunch of haggard women that are screaming and yelling about all the immoral but ungodly behavior out there. I'm talking about women who stop following the crowd, be themselves, and break away from that. Gotta dye my hair, gotta change my stuff. Even my friend yesterday wants to put blonde all in her hair, and I said, why? I said it right in front of the sales guy at the mattress place. And I looked right at him. I said, I was living in Asia, and all these beautiful black-haired natural beauties want to dye their hair and look like Americans. And he shook his head, and he says, you know what? I still can't make sense of that. And I said, neither can I. And my lady friend punched me in the shoulder and says, really? I said, really? He said, you got beautiful black hair, leave it alone. By the way, she's not my girlfriend. Pacific can drive a beat-up old truck with my son with his gauges in his ear and an Asian woman between the two of us and go bumbling down the road, and people do turn around and look at that and go, there's something you don't see every day. A guy with a black wig on. Do you know why I do that? But most people that come onto my channel go, this guy's a freak. I'm having fun. I'm sticking my finger in the eye of a society that's so syncretized, homogenous, that it's like everybody's in their Nissan Murano and their Toyota Sequoia. This is another foolishness. Let's name a truck a tree. And a Prius, whoever came up with the name Prius, I don't know what they were sniffing, smoking, injecting, but man, what a stupid name for a car. Every time I hear the name Prius, I just say, gosh, pansy-ass yuppies get into cars like that. No offense. Somebody wrote on my channel, you never see gangbangers that shoot up people getting in a Prius. Checkmate conservatives. I said, yep. And you never see a good person getting in a Prius. Checkmate liberals. As if conservatism can be shot down because gangsters don't drive a Prius. That's the foolish reasoning of a society lost and headed for hell. Gangsters aren't conservative either, buddy. They tend to vote liberal ticket if they did vote. I'm sorry, but I don't know if you've noticed, but all the thuggy people really like Obama. I mean, I'm not going to say anything else about that, but it's all there for all to see. The people that want to be naughty and misbehave and smoke pot, they're the ones that voted in this clown and all get behind him. Checkmate. Liberals. Have another banana. For crying out loud, even the trilobites that are embedded in the fossil record are testimony about a catastrophic event that happened that judged mankind and judged the earth. Little trilobites. Tons of them. And they're all over the dang place. My cousin and I have a standing joke. I said, yeah, trilobite theology, and he laughs. One little creature can shut down the foolish thinking of a whole bunch of so-called educated toilet paper degree men and women out there. And evolution is a joke that is laughable all the way to the bank. We're evolving all right. We see that on the internet, don't we? The proliferation of foul-mouthed, in-your-face, hateful trolls that get so sloppy as to put first and last names of a minor on the internet. Yeah, they're evolving. I have to say that. Sometimes we need to articulate our thoughts out more and see this for what it really is. This world is foolishness. Don't be bullied back into the corner. I have people writing me all the time, how can you be so bold about your faith? How can I not? The reason I drive a 66 Ford down the street and wear a wig is because I can. Start exercising your freedom in America. What problem am I causing by that? Absolutely nothing. But I'm not following the flow. I'm not acting like anybody else. I'm not speeding and going, hey, to all the motorists around me. I'm wearing a wig, driving an old truck, and I'm having fun. And the world sees that. The uptight, debt-ridden society that's got to have the $500,000 house and worry about taking their dog to the poochie parlor and getting a new hairdo and a little bow in it, and got to get to Starbucks and got to get to this and got to believe this crap. And they're out there driving around in their little plastic world, and then they look over at that and go, well, what the heck? A woman noticed it yesterday, and she went around us, and I thought, what is she doing? She looked all the way out the window and smiled, and I thought, I don't know, she's laughing? I don't know what was going through her mind, but she smiled and just looked. Probably looking at the truck, seeing all those young people, even though I'm 50 and my friend is 51. And yeah, my son's young, but somebody smiled. She wasn't jeering, going, oh my gosh. Put your shingle out there. Be who you are. This world's crazy, but somebody from that dark world might stop and go, well, what the heck? That could be a testimony for God, too, that you're not walking in syncretism with everybody else. Stop listening to the lies of the devil. Stop listening to the foolishness of these people getting all over, climbing all over, telling you how dumb and retarded and dysfunctional you are. Just them doing that is proof that they are really messed up, way more than me. They're not engaging this world. They're not making a positive difference because they're part of the evolutionistic BS. And they're dead in their sins, they're hopeless, and they're despairing, so they gnash at those that belong to the Lord. Hello? Thank you. Can I have an amen, church? Post it in the comments below. Pacific never got on this forum saying, oh, I've got it together. Never. That's not what this is about. This is about truth. This is about what is going on. God made me. God's given me a voice, and I will use it, so help me God. This channel has been through a lot of crazy stuff. And all that's doing is emboldening me more to say, hey, I will ask every one of my viewers to pray for Mr. Kevin. He can't stop us from praying. That we pray that God would open his eyes and show him that he is a lost soul headed for hell and that he's living a lie. And we need to pray that God would bring him back to him. We need to. But in the meantime, let me tell my trolls, you want to do the dirty stuff you do? It works for a while, the bullying, but not now. We will shout from the rooftops those things that are done in secret. Enough is enough. Leave me alone. Go pick on somebody your own size. Don't bother me. If you don't agree with me, click the red X and go on to another website. But to do the dirty things you do will land you in big trouble, buddy. There's still a legal world out there. There's still a YouTube that even says, okay, this is too much. My own viewers rose up with their comments. You know, just the fact this guy's doing all this, he must really hate himself. I got things to talk about, buddy. Since you're here on every video listening to every single thing I say, go find something constructive to do. Try to make a difference in New York, because they sure need it. That's a messed up city if I ever said so myself. A lot of crazy people living in skyscrapers and high-rises there that are loony. And there's a lot of lonely, hurting people that need a friend. I do want to talk about some of the pictures that this guy had on his Facebook. Spider-Man pictures. Spider-Man facing a nude man. And then one of them is saying, oh, I forgot my jetpack. One of Spider-Man crouched down and he's saying, my body is ready. Spider-Man sitting on a couch looking at a youngster. And the kid says, I like where this is going. That's who's trolling me. This guy also left comments that he wants to rape and do Spider-Man. This Spider-Man was his favorite as a kid. Why am I telling my viewers this? Because these are the people that at first glance you think, wow, who's trolling me? Who's doing this? People like that. Something is not firing on all cylinders up here. Pacific has had his problems, but I've never thought about humping Spider-Man. And those kind of pictures, I heard some kids the other day talking about Spider-Man, and those stupid images come to my mind going, man, people just corrupt even kid stuff. Sad. This is an adult who posts this stuff. This is an adult who's got a fascination and obsession with homosexual behavior and taking it to levels that are just disgusting and degrading even to kids' cartoons. No wonder he's so angry at me, because I've said God says it's wrong. And I'm not speaking from a self-righteous rant. I'm speaking from personal experience that I've dabbled in stuff. But the guy accused me of saying, we don't really know who he is. Oh, I know who I am. I can experience life, but it doesn't mean I am that. I'm not. I like women. I love women. I'm fascinated by women. The more time that goes by, the more repulsed I have become at that whole gay thing. It's disgusting. It's not right. It's not natural. It's wrong. You gotta be both, or gotta be wiser. We are the ones that have the truth. We know Christ. Christ is our rock. Christ is our God. Christ parted the Red Sea yesterday, and I walked through. God will deal with our enemies. I'm not going to mention these on the channel, but there's other things that this guy has been doing that I have not talked about. And I'm going to tell him right now as I look in this camera, you need to go away. You need to leave me alone. He's barking up the wrong tree. We have evidence that your video was removed due to harassment. I have that video. Several others downloaded it and have it. And I will be taking that and all of your ED page and all of that to the FBI. That's going to be done. In fact, I've already started the process. So you need to go away, because you're going to lead a trail right back to yourself and you're going to get caught. I have given you warnings, not threats. I have asked you to get off my back and to leave me alone, and you won't do it. So if you want to spend time in a penitentiary, and you can sit there and look at comic books of Spider-Man in there in your prison cell, okay. But if you want your freedom, and you want to do something constructive with your life, don't attack the Pacific. Because I have something you don't have, buddy. It's called the Lord. And you can laugh and mock at that, but you ought to see that you cross lines because of your evolutionistic, silly little beliefs, and you got shut down on a video yesterday. So you need to leave me alone, because there is somebody in my side that you don't have in your side. And that's God. And God doesn't favor me over anybody else, but God will not allow his children to be attacked and forsaken. You are lying. You are causing all kinds of problems, and God is going to move against you. He's already started. Go away, and you won't hear a word from me about you. So you started the war. God's going to finish the war that you started. You're getting in trouble with bigger authorities, dude. The FBI is very interested in this. You have crossed lines. It doesn't matter that the video was pulled. You are harassing a minor. You cannot do that on the internet. You're harassing a woman. Women have rights. Not very wise, dude. Impersonating me on Skype with Mr. You-know-who? Not good, bud. Go away. Quit leaving your comments. Quit doing the things you're doing, and you know what those other things are, because we're all onto you. All is being fully known. Go find something to do in New York. There's a lot of people that need help. Try to help them. Quit dogging people like me. If you don't agree with my channel, go away. It's that simple. I'm not threatening you. You have threatened over and over and over. You threatened my son, and that, buddy, I wrote several complaints to YouTube under different venues in there and said, this is my son. This guy is naming my son. This son is a minor. You think YouTube wants to be sued over your right to being free? No, they don't. So viewers, be bold. Stand on truth. You'll have the onslaught of hell come against you, but remember what Jesus said, I will build my church and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. God owns Pacific. God is my master. He's made me captain of this ship that he's asked me to sail, but God is the one who directs it all. I have my problems. I've fallen off my horse many times, but you guys have been faithful to stand. Thank you, men and women. This is Pacific signing off. Happy Friday. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.